water supplied by a public municipality or a private well for residential or commercial use, Purified Water Services LLC has the solutions to provide you with simply clean water. We offer a complete line of professional water filtration equipment and accessories. Soft water makes a difference you can see and feel. Water heater and appliances last longer with less maintenance. Iron and H2S filters eliminate iron stains and offensive rotten egg odors and protects your water softener equipment from iron fouling. No matter what your problem is, Purified Water Services LLC has a solution. Contact Kenny Williams at 352-446-2709. Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of the Goblay Show. I'm Billy Goble, and today our special guest is a friend of mine that I met at Disney, former cast member, former employee for the show over in Orlando called Medieval Times and in Baltimore, and he even does a little bit of stand-up comedy. Without further ado, my friend Justin Puig.
Like, I had no idea just how much of an impact that the entertainment department itself had on people, like guests in the parks and stuff. Like when you say it doesn't matter, I can still say to people that I worked at Disney, and I can tell them, oh, I work for my current job now, and they go and they don't really care. But I can say, oh, I worked at Disney for 17 years. What did you do? You know, it doesn't matter what I did. Like, they don't care. They're just like, you worked at Disney? That's awesome. And I'm like, yeah, it was really cool. But the entertainment department is very, I mean, obviously it's such a big family. There's so many people, and people have come and gone and stuff. And we lose people all the time. And it's just like they're real family. Like, you hear about them passing, and it hurts you just as much if it was your immediate family. We were really close.
And I mean that's Disney in general. Like, because I worked the Jungle Cruise too. Like when I moved back down there to just be like a resident, and my knees were too bad to get back into character costumes. I did the Jungle Cruise, and when we would lose a skipper or something, it was like losing a member of the family.
That is one of the things. If I could do it over again, I know I probably. I mean, the trying to get that specific role would be pretty hard, but I would love to have been a skipper because it's so funny. Like, it's so. I mean, you do have a script. You do read it. You have to say the things that they want you to say.
But you can go off the script. You're not supposed to.
But you have to stick to your guidelines, though. You know what I mean? You don't just go, "Hey, how's it going, guys? Where y'all headed to now?" You don't break. You don't break it all. So, but that is one of my all-time favorite.
I did a lot of breaking.
I'm sure.
When I applied,
I don't put it past you.
I applied, and they're like, "What? What about attractions?" I was like, "I want to work my favorite attraction, Haunted Mansion. I've always thought that was cool." And they were like, "We have a better idea for you." Yeah. And this is before I did stand up or anything.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, like, I'll give this a shot. And I remember our trainer was a guy who looked like Frank Sinatra.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, I'm a Frank Sinatra in person.
Was it Brian?
Yeah.
Brian used to be an attendant with me.
Yes, that's right. He was an attendant.
Yes. Did he ever do his Rodney Dangerfield impressions for you?
No.
Oh, dude. He would be like, "Hey, my wife learned how to cook. I don't know how you get bones and toast." Hey. I was like, and it was like dude, Brian worked everywhere. Yeah. Brian was at the Haunted Mansion. I saw him on Main Street. He trained me for my role back in 2000. He was at everything. I think he did everything but be Walt Disney, really.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
He trained me, and he was like, it was me and like 3 other people that were training to be skippers, and he had us on like riding boats with everyone else, like guests, so we could like hear shtick and stuff like that. And he was like, all right, who wants to like it was, I think, day 3 of training. And he's like, you can't hold on to your script. Who wants to go up there and see if they can do it? Like live boat.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll do it. Let's go. I got a live boat on and he sat in the back and I took the front and it was like magic almost instantly. Like I went from being in a role where I'm not allowed to talk, like, and as a performer, the only sound you can make is, you know that, right? Like to like kiss someone's hand, unless you're Pluto, then you can, like friends of Pluto, you can slip, which I always tell people, I'm like, yeah, we're not allowed to say anything. We can go, or, and they're like, that's weirder. That's somehow weirder. Yeah. That's the only noise they can make. But I did the Jungle Cruise and I like kind of nailed it. And then we were just able to like riff. Like I remember we used to be like, all right, well, we'd say something and then we go, sorry, that was a Freudian slip. You know, where you say one thing and mean a mother. And like they used to have like managers hiding out in parts of the Jungle Cruise to make sure you're sticking to the script.
Yeah.
And like, you know, you used to have to like, there's like a gun on board that you take to like shoot at the water at a certain point to like scare, and it makes a noise, but it's supposed to like scare the hippos away that are charging. It's like, hold on, I'm going to scare this hippo away. And I would always just like, I'd start the boat by scratching my head with the gun because it's like a fake gun. They're like, oh, welcome. And I'd be like, all right, we're going to go over here. And when it was time to scare the hippos, I'd always like pull out the gun. I was like, everyone stand back. And then I go, shoo, go on, get out of here. You know, because it's automated. So they're going to do it anyway. So I just would never shoot the gun.
They're only deadly if you wiggle their ears and blow water.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen I was talking to Celia about this. It's the 35th anniversary of Disneyland, and they have the guy do you know the guy who played Roger Rabbit? I cannot think of his name, and I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but I know
you know what I'm talking about, though?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the skipper. And he's like, hey, guys, come on in, you know, and he does this whole spiel, and it is like the longest Jungle Cruise ride ever because it's like, it's all edited and stuff. But he's like the natives are throwing, like they throw like the spears at him, right? And all the people are bailing out of the boat, and he's got the gun, and he's like, that'll teach him. It's on YouTube. You have to look it up. It's so funny.
Check it out.
But yeah, he's like, you know, the jokes on there are they're timeless, but I mean they're so fun. You know, they call them dad jokes now, but
yeah, but they were great. I still use them. I remember like sometimes the ride would break down, and you'd have to like just start going and telling jokes.
You're like, so who has MySpace, huh?
I still use like a lot of them. I remember like my go-to like shtick would be just to tell as many dad jokes in a row about like places I used to work.
Yeah, like the orange juice factory.
Yeah, like, did I tell you guys before this? I used to work in an orange juice factory, but I was canned because I couldn't concentrate. After that, I moved on to the M&M factory, where I was fired for throwing away too many W's. And then I went to the calendar factory. Lots of factories in my town. I went to the calendar factory, but I was fired there. Apparently, you can't take a day off, which is always rough. And then, you know, I ended up working on boats. I worked at the dock for a while, but that was mostly due to peer pressure. And then my girlfriend and I started working on a fishing boat. My girlfriend, she's a real catch. Annette, fantastic. But, you know, that relationship fizzled out. I was only in it for the halibut.
The halibut.
Yeah. And, like, I was always just waiting for someone to go, please stop.
They take the gun and wave it around like, stop.
Yeah. And there was always one kid in the back who would be like, I'd like to tell a joke. And I'm like, all right. And it was almost always the same joke. And it was just like, why was Piglet looking in the toilet? I was like, I don't know. Why was Piglet looking in the toilet? And they're just like, he was trying to find poo. And I was like, all right, sit back down.
I would always tell people, like, if we had, because, you know, Piglet never came out. It was like just a random
time he would be out before like Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Where's Piglet?" And I'm like, "Oh, he's at the Polynesian having dinner." Where is it? I don't know. It's so funny. They're like, I'm just kidding. Come on, guys, live a little. But yeah, that skipper says like the crocodile, Ginger and Snap, the crocodile. Yeah. He's like, hey, sir, just reach out there and give a little touch on the snozzula. Like he's like this like stereotypical like New York, but sounds like a bus driver, like schnozzula. I mean, what the tiger? He's like, they can jump 12 feet, but don't worry, we're 10 feet away. He'll just jump right over the boat. and Tony Danza, I forgot to tell you, Tony Danza is in it. Tony Danza is on the boat. And he's like looking around. He's like, oh, like he's doing all these little promos. Like what? And
just looking for Angela.
And he's like, Angela, can you do it, Tony Danza?
No, that I can do.
That was it.
Angela.
He's like, that's Angela, Mona, Samantha.
I try to do too much Danza. I just go right into Sylvester Stallone. It's just like, because I don't know what to do, so I just start mumbling.
That's kind of
you gotta fight. You gotta fight. They tell you don't want to do it, but you gotta do it.
And it's like, no, you shouldn't be fighting. You sound like you had 18 strokes. Stop letting people punch you right now.
Then there's the kid, and there's you.
It's not about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep getting up.
So speaking of Rocky, rest in peace, Carl Weathers.
Carl Weathers, yeah.
Man, someone was putting pictures of like everything he has done, and they just put Rocky and Mandalorian, which obviously he was in both. But I'm like, what about the Predator?
Yeah.
What about Action Jackson? Remember that movie? Have you ever seen that movie?
No, I've never seen Action Jackson.
Oh, dude, the bad guy is.
I mean, we have Action Jackson on the Ravens, so
yeah. Well, Action Jackson is it's a movie, like a thriller, not thriller, but like an action movie. And the bad guy is Craig D. Nelson, coach.
Really?
Yeah. It's like an early, when HBO first came out. It was one of those movies where like that and like a Seagal movie would come out, and like, all right, this is our lineup for prime time right here. You got like Hard to Kill and Action Jackson. That was one of the first two HBO movies I've ever watched over at my buddy's house. Like, yes. While we're on that subject real quick, what do you think about, are you a Seagal fan, Steven Seagal?
I remember watching his movies as a kid, but now as an adult, he just seems so crazy. And I'm just like, it's one of those things where like the magic doesn't work anymore. Like I look at him and I'm just like, he's just like a really squinty, chubby white guy who's like flipping people around with like an arm and stuff. I'm like, no, like Chuck Norris, I think could kill me. Steven Seagal, I think I could take. I know I'm not a fighter.
But if you slowed it down, he could probably take you down though.
Yeah. If I went real slow, I think I could just like outrun him. Like I would just make him chase me for a while, and then once he got out of breath, I'd like throw a quick kick or something.
You know he's a sheriff in like a Louisiana parish. He's like a sheriff, like legit, like Shaq, like works for the sheriff's department. I don't know if he's.
I like that the first sheriff you could think of was Shaq.
Well, yeah,
like that's what he's known for. He's a sheriff, like Shaq.
Like Shaq, sheriff of Orange County. He really is. I don't know if he. I think that's a publicity stunt, but I think he really is. I think he really got his like. I don't know if you'd say a license or like a degree or whatever, but he got his. He's actually legitimately like works for the sheriff's department when he's not selling Papa John's pizzas.
Oh yeah, no. If I got pulled over and like Shaq stepped out of a car, first I'd laugh because I think anytime I see Shaq step out of a car,
it would probably take a normal years to get out of a car.
I would just laugh so hard. And then I'd be like, I'm going to jail. Like, I'm going to jail just because I want to ride with Shaq.
You're like,
I'm going to say what I need to get arrested. So I'm in the back of his patrol car. And then I can just like talk to him about like why he's bad at free throws.
He's like, Justina, would you like a shakaroni?
It's a good Shaq.
You're like, what? Yeah, that's the only thing I can do right.
If Shaq ever asked me if I wanted a Shaq-a-roni, the answer would be no.
He's like,
I feel like it means something different.
I was better than Kobe. I left Orlando. I went out to LA where they needed me. I'm like, we needed you here or in Orlando, Shaq. You broke my heart, man. Young kid sitting there wanting to know when you were coming back. Never did.
Yeah. You were Kazam, man.
You were the Kazam. Dude, I had his I don't know if you're old enough to remember. I mean, you're not young, not too younger than or as young as I am, but
I'm old. Yeah, go ahead. I'm old.
No. But Shaq had a rap out. Did you ever see that or hear it?
Yeah.
Shaq Diesel?
Yeah, he actually performed. Shaq Diesel performed at Ravens Stadium.
No way.
The game we just lost to the Kansas
City. Was he there for real?
Yeah, he played. He was DJing, and then T-Pain played halftime.
Oh, cool. He's got a song called Shoot Past Slam, and all it is, do you want me to shoot it? And they're like, no. Do you want me to pass it? No. Do you want me to slam? Yeah. We're like, that's all he does. Do you want me to shoot free throws? No.
You want me to eat it? No. Like, just keep throwing more things in there. You want me to roll it? No.
Do you want me to make an illegal turn? Yeah. Are you going to get a ticket? Yeah.
Yeah.
Catfish Johnny's Restaurant, serving the Lake Pennsauken and surrounding areas since 1990. For the last 33 years, we have strived to serve great food at great prices and a friendly, casual atmosphere. If seafood isn't your thing, our burgers or wings are the best around. We have daily specials too. Check us out on Facebook or Instagram for more information. Pat's Taps at Catfish Johnny's. Pat's Taps is Lake Pennsauken's newest tap room, offering 14 rotating craft beers on tap. We also offer bottled domestic beers, seltzers, ciders, and wine, as well as a variety of appetizers and pub. Our family-friendly tap room is a great place to come hang out and enjoy some one-of-a-kind craft beer. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or the Untapped app. So going back to Disney, we said, what's your favorite park to work in? But, what's your favorite park to just play in? I always say play in the parks for the non-Disney people. That just means you're on your off day and you're going to go hang out in the parks, ride some rides, eat some good food, call it a day.
Yeah. That's a toss-up. I do love Hollywood Studios rides. Even before they got the Star Wars area, I loved, Tower of Terror. Rock and Roller Coaster is one of my favorite rides. Yeah. It's like the first roller coaster I ever rode.
Oh yeah,
it's and Roller Coaster.
Classic.
I was terrified of roller coasters.
Oh yeah.
Like, to the point where they told me, they're like, don't worry, it doesn't go fast and it doesn't go upside down. And it does both of those.
They completely lied to you, brother.
Yeah, it was my roommates, Scott. He was like, don't worry, do it. And I wrote it. And I remember, like, working in entertainment, anytime I'd take a girl that I met on a date, I'd take her to the parks and we'd go to Hollywood Studios. And I would just tell them that it was my first time riding the roller coaster or riding Tower of Terror, because I was so, it's very clear that I'm afraid of heights and I don't really like roller coasters.
Me too.
And so I would just be like, I don't, and I had ridden them both and I felt fine about it. I felt safe on them. But I would just tell the girls, like, this is my first time. Like, would you hold my hand while we're riding this ride? And it worked for a while. And
it was a 95-year-old woman.
Yeah. Well, at one point I was at an audition and a bunch of girls that worked in the entertainment department that I had gone on dates with were in line, and I had just come back from Hollywood Studios with another girl, and she was like, yeah, and you won't believe how brave he was. He went on, the Rock and Roller Coaster with me for the first time. And some girl goes, he went on it for the first time with me. And I was like,
you're like, actually, look, churros.
Yeah, I was like, actually, I went on it for the first time with a guy named Scott, and no one held my hand. But it meant more with you guys. But yeah, Hollywood Studios, it's either Hollywood Studios or Magic Kingdom. Like, I still get the thrill when I go to Magic Kingdom and you walk up and you see the castle. And the classic rides that are there. Like Haunted Mansion is still my favorite ride. It's just so classic. I love I love Pirates. I love Jungle Cruise. Like I love how there's all the different like Space Mountain.
Right.
Awesome. I just
that's right.
Still oldest ride in the park, but still got the longest line.
That's right, Ric Flair.
Yeah. But yeah, there's just like I think if you could only go to one park, it would have to be Magic Kingdom. Like it's just there's just so much there. Everything is so like classic. The food isn't as good as you would get at like Epcot, but like the other parks, it's
still theme park food no matter what you do.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd probably go. I think Magic Kingdom would edge out Hollywood Studios just because it still feels like there's more to do at Magic Kingdom. Hollywood Studios with the Star Wars area now and the Toy Store area, there's a lot to do, but it's also like it's always just so crowded. Like it never feels as bad at Magic Kingdom because there's so many things to do that like you'll always find a ride, even if it's like Small World. You'll always find a ride you can just get on if you need to take a break.
Well, when I first started, they let me pick what park I went to work at. And I was telling Celia this, like everybody was like going to different places. And I was 18 years old, wet behind the ears, like fresh out high school. I'm ready to go. I'll put me on the front line, baby. And this lady that I went to training with, Doris, she's like, well, I'm going to Epcot. And I was like, well, Epcot sucks. I never said that, but in my head, I'm like, why would you want to go there? Because we called it the retirement home. That's where all the older people worked. Like when and it was true. And I love every single one of them that works there. They're great people, but it wasn't Magic Kingdom. And it was, like I was telling Celia, they put me out in front, Mickey Floral, with 5 VIPs. Oh. So Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, Pluto, and Donald. And I'm like, this is the front of the park, bro. Like people can see it when they get off the monorail. They're like, the characters are out there. I'm like, what are you people thinking? I know I was by myself.
Yeah.
I'm like, welcome to Disney, guys.
Crazy. Trial by fire.
And and like I see pictures now, like every character's got an attendant. I'm like, where was that at?
Yeah. I remember one time, I think there was like one attendant for, it was on DCOH. Maybe there were 2. But you weren't working one of the days. And you know how we have like the like skull caps and the headbands and everything. It had gotten so hot that my headband had fallen down over my eyes.
Oh, Lord.
And I was
what's his name? Star Trek?
Yeah, I was like Geordie LaForge. I was just like doing this over the character eyes to be like, hey, I can't see, but I couldn't see. And there wasn't anyone there. And then someone like grabbed my hand and I was like, great. They started walking me. And it was just the dad of a family who was like walking me over to his family just to be like their personal character for like pictures.
I got one.
It's like, hey, I caught one. I don't think he can see. So just everyone be quiet.
It's a blind squirrel.
To the car. And then finally an attendant found me and they're like, where have you been?
Yeah.
And like I had to lean in close and be like, I am blind right now. Where am I? And they're like, Italy. And I was like, how? How am I in Italy right now?
One time I was at DCOH and this family, I had a soft heart for some of the people that, like they seem like they were like, this had happened quite a few times where they missed the characters. I would try everything I could to help them out. So I'm like, so I said, guys, I can't let you back in line because if I let you back in, all those people that I turned away, blah, 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 blah. So I said, but where are you going next? They go, we're having lunch in Mexico. And I said, perfect. I knew we were right beside Mexico. So I'm like, hand me your books. So they hand me all the books.
I went and filled. I mean, not I, but I had our peeps do their thing. We got the ones they were missing that were there, and so I went back into Mexico, the pavilion, and they had the double door system where you don't, because Mexico's not, it's dark.
Yeah.
So they have the double door system like they do at Haunted Mansion, where if you walk in, you don't let sunlight in because it would ruin the effect. So I walk in through these doors, they close, and I go throughout the other doors. Well, when you open the other doors, the other set of doors, you're in the pavilion with everybody else. So I'm like, all right, well, and what is not the cantina, but the other restaurant inside, whatever it is. Can't think of the name of it off my head right now. I went in there, and it's so freaking dark in there that I couldn't see the stairs. So it goes downstairs into the dining area. So I'm walking up on a platform, and I'm just like looking around. I'm not paying attention, and then there's stairs. And so I do like someone slipping on the ice. I go, just throw the books, go up in the air. I go up in the air, look like a comic strip or a cartoon character. I fall. Everybody stops. Like they're like, and then they went back to eating. I was like, I waved my arm, like, I'm good. And they're like, that's when they went back to eating. They're like, oh, no.
We've got places to be.
Yeah, but
fast pass.
that restaurant, because it being so dark, another story, my brother and I were in there with our family, and I asked the waiter, I said, do you want to see a magic trick? And the guy goes, okay. Like, I got stuff to do, man. So I took a napkin and I folded it, held it out real tight, and I was dancing around with like this. And my brother, I had my drink sitting in front of it, and I put it in front of it, and I was dancing around like this. And my brother put his arm like under the table and like grabbed it and then went back under the table. And I went like this, and the guy goes, "Oh my God, like that's so cool!" And I'm like, "You want to see me put it back?" The guy's like, "Sure." like he could care less, right? But I was like, whatever. So I'm like, start dancing again, and my brother is trying to put it back, but he's dumping it in my lap. He's dumping the drink in my lap. I'm like, Jimmy, you're spilling it on me.
You ruined this magic.
I'm like, oh my God. And then, like, when he put it back up, it was like half full.
At least you were optimistic about it still. Very rarely would I have soda spilled on me and then be like, the glass is half full.
Well,
that's a glass half empty.
Then I went, it's magic.
Duto Realty is a homegrown business with an eye for getting the job done right. From football games to Sunday school and everything in between, these ladies care about our community and the people in it. Helping buyers and sellers in all of Florida with all types of transactions, including residential, commercial, farm, or vacant land. They do it all. They even offer auction services and sellouts to always get the job done right.
So did you care for, I asked Celia the same thing. Did you care for Animal Kingdom at all?
Animal Kingdom was my least favorite.
That's right.
It was just so hot, and there was really, when I was there, I was only ever like one character.
Yeah.
And it was like, or friends with one character, and it wasn't someone many people cared about. Well, no, I could be, can I just say who I was friends with?
Well, you just tell me, just tell me the area. Where are you at? Oasis?
So I did Oasis, and then I did the docks.
Okay.
So the docks, I was my normal character.
Did you ever get to do the wasabi boat?
No, it was always like down whenever I was there, and I wasn't like. That was somehow I got enough like seniority that like they stopped putting me at Animal Kingdom, and that's when I was like, I think someone who was doing DCOH ended up like leaving or like bidding for a different area.
Yeah.
And then I just started like picking up that shift like crazy, and because you could trade shifts with people.
Yeah,
and so it's
all the
always
time.
just like, it's like, all right, well, I'm gonna trade my shift away, and then I'm gonna pick up a shift in Epcot.
Yeah,
and I was like, because there I get to be friends with the fun characters.
Right.
And like, I also got, I think at one point I got stuck at Hollywood Studios.
Right.
Back when there was the hat, I used to be right under the hat.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, I still in my mind, whenever I hear certain Disney songs, I'm like, all right, that means 1 or 2 more songs, and then I get to go back.
You're giving yourself 5 and didn't even know it. You're like,
yeah. I'm like, all right, great. Like,
when I hear Colors of the Wind, we're in, baby. We're
yeah.
in. Let me ask you this: I'll give you my take on it after you say yours. But best break room. I always have a favorite break room. What's your favorite break room? And I mean, do you have one? As far as like coziness, like people, like what you did, like movies, like stuff like that, like the atmosphere. Like you're like, that's a good place to hang
out. Oh, that is tough.
That's a tough question.
Yeah, I really love the one at Toontown because they were just like, I got to hang out with a lot of different people, and usually when you don't meet like a lot of the face people when you're a fur person, if you would. So that was a place to like meet those people. But I really think the break room for like the UK,
pretty cozy.
Do that.
Yeah.
Like the people that were working there, like it was like 2 of the characters were a married couple, and they would bring in, like, this is back when like Family Guy had just like started him and taken off the air, and they had like all of the like seasons that were available, and they would bring those in, and we watch that, and we watched The Emperor's New Groove, and like it was just very relaxed, and they were just good people. Like there were very few times where I ran into people in the entertainment department where I was like, these are not good people. Like,
right. Absolutely.
They were good. And the people that weren't good people, they just didn't last. Like,
that or somehow you steered away from them. Yeah.
What was yours?
I would have to say either it's a toss up. That actually got 3 spots, believe it or not. I've got Liberty Tree.
Okay.
Something about that place, I don't know. It was really cool. It was a really great setup. The hat, because it was huge. You weren't sitting on top of each other, or right above the Great Movie Ride, or what is it, Mickey's thing now? Not the Great Movie Ride,
Mickey's Runaway Railway.
Yeah, up on the top story. And then like you said, cool. The UK. I had the same great memories. And you had all the UK people. You had the showcase players there from UK. All the equity people. They were really cool to hang out with. Made some really good friends there. It made me want to. I'm like, man, I want to do that so bad. You're talking about like, even though people consider people in theme parks not professionals, they were professionals. They really were. I consider them professionals. I mean, anybody that can stand up in crowds like that day to day. I mean, it's not like it's a controlled. It was a controlled environment. Like, I mean, they didn't really get mobbed or anything, but you still had to deal with people. I mean, it wasn't like it was like a theater where people are on a stage. You had a rope that you laid down on the ground and said, "Don't go past that rope." And meanwhile, everybody's like, "Hey, don't tell me where to go."
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God. Woo, go. Why don't you go there and light your breath on fire? It was bad. But like the people, like you said, it's people that made me stay so long. I mean, really. I was told.
Also, as I say, honorary mention to Crystal Palace Break Room. Because for a while there, the chef at Crystal Palace would send us food down, and I loved the food there.
Let's see, you went. Did you go to old school Crystal Palace break room or the new break room they had? Because the bigger break room was more recent. They had a bigger break room, but like this one, you had a smaller break room where people were basically sitting on. Look, I had
I was at this place called Fantasyland Character Festival, or also the acronym known as FCF. And basically it was like it was my first summer shift. I bounced from there to Toontown. I met like these people that I work with, I still talk to today. I mean, and majority of them are I call my girls, my friends, that I worked with them for my first, summer gig. And there were, gosh, the break room was probably about 10 by 10, maybe. That's like being generous. And you had 5 attendants, a captain. You had, and then you had 12, I think it was 12 characters. So there was almost 20 people in this 10 by 10 break room. It was nuts, but it brought people together. Like it made them, I don't know, it made us, like I said earlier, it made us more like a family. It was really, really cool. One of the best things I've ever, the area was, and basically the area was 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. That's where the area was. That queue line for 20K was our character area. And it was like, you're at the front of the line and people are like, is this, they hadn't been to Disney in forever. And they're like, is this 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea? And you're like, nope, that's been gone for 8 years now. And so I would do like, have you ever seen Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, where like at the end of the movie where he's like, no blades, no bows, leave your weapons here. It's the big execution scene that they're all there to see. Well, I took it upon myself to say, no ride, no show, leave your strollers here. So that was my thing. I would keep repeating over and over. And it was like, man, but then you realize, like, I used to get so mad. I'm like, people, it's gone. Okay. The water's still there, but the ride is gone. Do you see it moving? There's nothing out there, but there's some ducks, maybe a random fish that's got 4 heads. I don't know. But it's gone, guys. It's gone. And I had to remember that just because they're 6 feet away from me doesn't mean they hurt you. You know what I mean? It's the little things that you learn. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just said it. You're like, oh my gosh. But
yeah, people are in theme park brain. Like, what time is the 3 o'clock parade?
Yes. What time is the 3 o'clock parade?
It's gonna blow your mind. 3 o'clock.
I would always say it depends on where you're staying. Because at 3 o'clock, if you're on Main Street, there is no parade yet. It's not there until about 3:15, 3:20-ish. You're not seeing the Grand Marshal till about 3:15, 3:10.
Yeah. I would just say the couple of times that they would have me be like, sometimes as a performer, you'd be a character attendant too.
Super greet.
Yeah. And so I'd be like, okay, like, this is cool. I'll get to talk to people. But the thing that was bad was that, like, my name tag, my name is Spanish. My last name is, at least. And so people would be like, like, lots of Spanish people in Florida. And they go, oh, ¿tú hablas español? And I do a very small amount. So I'd be like, sí, un poquito. And they go, blah, 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 like, as quick as they can. And I'm just like, man, I don't know what to say. So I would just always look at them with just deep sincerity and be like, sí, mi abuela es muy grande, pero yo no como la ventanilla. And then they go, and then they'd walk away from me. Because what I did was I looked him in the eye very confidently and said, yes, my grandmother is very large, but I do not eat the ticket window. So it's just utter nonsense.
It works.
And so they were just like, okay, so you do not speak Spanish. Or
so you're a fraud.
You're a moron is what you are. It's like, sí.
Sí, I am. Yo soy, sí. What's funny for me is I had a name tag that was Christian without the H. It was Christian from Bayamon, Puerto Rico. And I had I've never been to Puerto Rico. I've never been there. I would love to go there, but never been there. I had one from Bayamon and Lajas, right? So I had to do some investigating. I'm like, where are these places? Like, because I had to pretend that I was from there, And they're like, because people would call me out. And so this one guy goes, "You don't sound Puerto Rican to me." And I said, "Southern Puerto Rico." And they're like it makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, look at me. You wouldn't assume I'm Puerto Rican, looking at me. Like,
right.
I'm very much German Irish for the majority of my blood.
Right.
But then I call myself a Puerto Rican. My dad's half Puerto Rican, so
that's
I'm
awesome.
Puerto Rican. But when I took my dad there one time, after I left Florida, I started working for the airlines for a couple of months, and I used that as like a way to fly my parents places and me places for free. So we flew to Puerto Rico, and there's a little island called Culebra, and that's where my like great grandmother and family are from. And so we went there, and it turns out like we got on a boat that's an hour and a half boat ride from the mainland.
Yeah.
So we get on this boat to go, and the captain of the boat turns out to be one of my cousins.
Oh, wow.
That I'd never met before.
Yeah.
And so he's like, "Oh, okay. Like when you go there, you got to go to this bar. It's called the Dinghy Dock." And I was like, "Okay." And so we get there and we go to the Dinghy Dock first thing. And the lady behind the bar is just like, "I just need to see your ID." And I'm like, "Okay." I hand her my ID and she looks at it and she goes, "This is you?" And I went, "Yeah." And she just takes my ID and walks away. And I'm like, "Okay." And she comes back with the owner and he goes, "So this is you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, do you know Jenny Romero or Jenny Roventini?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's my great grandmother." And he goes, "I'm your cousin. What do you want to drink? It's on the house." And he's like, "If you go over here to the like car rental place, that guy's your cousin too. Like 85% of this island were like cousins of mine. It's the closest I've come to feeling like Samoan. Like that's like the kind of tight knit it was there.
Or a VIP, like a celebrity.
Yeah. I was just like
your money's not good here.
The only bad part is like, don't go to the beach at night though. Like Flamenco Beach is their beach. It's like one of the most beautiful, like crystal clear beaches. Like, don't go to the beach at night. And I was like, why? They're like, you look like one of your cousins got murdered there a couple years ago.
Oh my God.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to go to the beach at night. I will not be doing that.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following: Travelin' Tom's Coffee Truck, the delicious mobile coffee truck that brings you the caffeination inspiration you need. We deliver signature coffee products like our Nitro Cold Brew and Caramel Frappe to any occasion or festivity. And for those who don't like coffee, we offer a variety of delicious hot chocolates, energy drinks, lemonades, and teas. That's Travelin' Tom's Coffee Truck.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought maybe they'd be like, and like your grandma owed me like $14.86.
Yeah.
Who do I get with about that?
Yeah, we're still waiting.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your stint at, because I know you worked at the one in Orlando and you worked at the one in what was that, in Baltimore, Medieval Times. How was that?
I got the job at Medieval Times shortly after coming back from Florida. And I got the job at the Baltimore one first because the general manager there, or operations manager, used to be a performer at Disney.
Okay.
And so my dad worked at the post office down the street.
Yeah.
And he would be like, "Oh, you work at Medieval Times? Like my son used to work for Disney." And he goes, "I used to work for Disney." And we happened to be friends with the same character. And so he was like, "Well, he knows how to sweat. Send him on down." And they like brought me down as like a squire. So I had these like sequin tights on and I learned a little bit of choreography for fighting and stuff.
Yeah.
And most of the time I was like running out in the sand and scooping up poop or like carrying a dead knight or whatever. And after about like 6 months of that or so, they started training me to like do the fights and I got a little bit of choreography, but I kept getting like injured. And it's like a madhouse there. Like one time I was like holding a shield up over my head, like you're supposed to when a knight comes by, he's supposed to hit the shield. And I held it like at an angle by mistake. So he hit the edge of it with his sword and it came down and smacked me in the forehead and like busted me open a little bit.
Oh, wow.
I started to bleed and everyone went nuts. Like, they're like, "Yes." Like,
kill him.
Yeah, murder that boy. And yes, I did that for a bit, and then I got injured. A horse actually got spooked by the curtains that we had.
Yeah.
And I was like standing behind him when they pulled the curtain. It spooked the horse, and he kicked my knee. Went back and kicked me, and my knee like popped backwards and then back again. And like I didn't have insurance, so I was like, this will heal on its own. Finished
have
the show.
Obamacare.
And I was still still to this day have problems with my left knee.
Yeah, when it's gonna be cold outside.
Yeah. That's why when I came back, I couldn't do entertainment again because I couldn't, bounce or squat.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
Kneeling was sore. And also like I couldn't nail any of the dance moves anymore.
Yeah.
That they wanted for the audition. But yeah, then so when I came back down to Florida, that's when I started doing the Jungle Cruise, and then I started waiting tables because I was too injured to like run in the sand and stuff.
Gotcha.
And the money was so good waiting tables. And I had to wear it was basically like a potato sack and black tights was the uniform.
Right.
And so I would do that, and I did that for a couple of years. 10 years I worked for Medieval Times between Florida and or Orlando and Baltimore.
Gotcha.
Got a lot of experience there, but it's why I can tell people that like up until I was like 30 or 31, I didn't have a job that didn't require me to wear tights.
Right.
At some point,
I think you led with
even when I moved to like corporate, occasionally they'd still be like, hey, we need you to run down and do something like in the sand in the show, or like cover this table. And I'm like, all right, break out the tights. No, don't wash them. I'll just put them on. Just like sand everywhere.
You got them on cue there.
Yeah, I'm wearing them right now. So
there you go.
Just in case.
Although it wasn't Medieval Times, I've been to Arabian Nights, but I've been to both. But this story I'm about to tell you happened at Arabian Nights, and Arabian Nights is no longer there. But my buddy that I worked with when I did Castle Show, he used to work there part-time as well, because a lot of us, believe it or not, had other jobs that we had to go to. And so he worked at Arabian Nights, and he was telling me how this horse that they had there had this routine where they would get off the horse and the horse would run backstage, or sightline, we called it. And it wouldn't go completely into the back until you pet it. So you had to pet the horse, and then like a good job, it needed some attention, recognition, and then it would go on its way. Well, my buddy was a lighting guy, and he said the first time they did a show, this horse, the guy gets off the horse, and the horse does what it's supposed to. It gets off, the horse runs around the corner, and it's like halfway sticking out. And he's sitting there with the lights, and the horse is like waiting. Like, I need confirmation. Like, I did a good job. And he didn't know any better because he was new. So everybody's yelling at him, just pet the horse. Just pet the horse. The guy pets the horse, and the horse takes off. I mean, it's that simple, but he had no idea what was going on. And this horse was like, I did my job. I want some kind of reprimand. I
don't blame him. Yeah.
Yeah. I need payment. I need payment. I need some kind of, I need to know I did a job well done. So it's cool when you got to work with animals like that. And I know Medieval Times has horses as well.
We had a horse named Wild Eyes, who had just been there for a while, to the point where he was so trained that he could do the whole show without a rider.
Uh-huh.
Like at one point during one of the shows, they joust and you're supposed to like fall off your horse. But one of the knights like slipped and fell off his horse ahead of time. And Wild Eyes was the horse. And so he just trotted over to where he was supposed to line up, like turned around and then charged down there without a knight on him I know what I gotta do. Like, I'm doing this, and then I'm gonna go back. You guys are gonna hose me down, feed me carrots, and I'm gonna be good. Like, I'm on a time constraint.
Yep.
Like,
Jeopardy is on.
Yeah, it was awesome. And
that's hilarious. So the horse like was ready, like he was gonna he had a rider on him.
Yeah, he just went. He was like, okay, whether you're here or not, because usually when you're doing the joust, like you've already got your feet out of the stirrups, like the horse is just going on autopilot, so you can just like.
And so they do it so much.
All right, I've been doing this long enough that I know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
I love those animals.
Funny.
They were all like, each one of them had their own kind of temperament. I've got you probably can't see it, but on this finger I've got a scar. Because I was training one of the guys how to feed them. And I was like, yeah, here's where their feed goes. And like, this one, there's a horse named Badger who was basically just the horse for our falconer that he would ride out on. And I was like, Badger's like the sweetest, like, you want to make sure, like, you're talking to other horses, when you put the food in, make sure you know where your hands are. You don't want to put your hand near their food. And I like mimed it. And he went, gotcha, and just bit into my finger and like ripped the skin off on like both sides. And it was like maybe 20 minutes before the show. And I was like, I don't have anything to like clean this with. We're going to be in sand and everything. So our horse trainer was this older Russian guy. Goes, oh no, you come here. And he sprayed horse antiseptic on my finger. It's this bright yellow like spray.
It's pee. Horse pee is what it is.
Horse urine.
I'm beginning to think it was pee.
It's sterile. And he sprayed it on, and then he wrapped it in a little bit of gauze that he had. Then they put he
made a tourniquet.
Yeah, they put a latex glove over my hand so that, like, the regular gloves would probably irritate it that we had.
Yeah.
But I couldn't just have a white. I wasn't like Michael Jackson. I couldn't have one white glove out there. So they just held my head down and spray painted the glove and my arm black with the stuff that they would use like spray paint the shields.
Yeah.
So I just got this one like funky hand. And like by the time I like got done the shift and like went to like take everything off, like my wrist was black, my like hand was yellow, and all of the gauze that he'd put it on like the wrong way. So it was just stuck to the wound. So I had to sit there and like pick this, like it was I don't want to go into detail. It was terrible. It was awful.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following. Webster Ace Hardware and Farm Supply are generous sponsors for today's podcast. They have been a family-owned business for 27 years. This helpful hardware store sells items such as archery, Ariat clothing and boots, Wrangler jeans, case knives, Hammond's candies, and live fishing gear. They also have a full selection of hardware, RV supply, propane, Ben Moore, Royal & Clark, and Kingston paints. You need a barn or fencing job done? Custom barn kits and roofing metal are provided at your local Ace Hardware store. What about a new grill for the yard? Traeger, Big Green Egg, Weber, and Blackstone are found here, along with all the accessories to go with them. Stock up your workshop with DeWalt, Milwaukee, or Craftsman tools. They got you covered. Remember to go to ace.com to shop their entire line to have items shipped directly to the store. So it looked like it had frostbite, huh?
Yeah, basically. Like, frostbite, and then someone was like, I can fix it by peeing on it.
Yeah. Like, I was waiting for you to say that the Russian guy was like, come here. Let me pour vodka.
Yeah. As we cut this off, you don't need it.
In Russia, we don't do that. We just pour straight up Smirnoff on it. Has a tracksuit on.
Yeah.
You're like, what? So that's cool. I mean, I think that would have been cool to do, like just to hang out with. I mean, because I like at Disney, the closest I came. Well, we did have a few horses, and they were for the parades, but we had birds for the Sword in the Stone show, which I did, and So like one time Merlin throws up this bird, and about the time he's in mid-flight, the castle show fireworks are going off, and I think the thing had a heart attack and just hit the ground.
Oh no!
And everybody's like, yeah, he's all right, and they just sweep him up, and the little custodian guys like, sweep.
I think they revived him back, like the backstage. But stuff like that, when you're dealing with wild animals, like live or wild animals, you never know what you're gonna like. Like over at Animal Kingdom, the safari, you never know what you're gonna see or what's gonna happen. Someone said the other day that the rhino stood out in the road again for like 45 minutes, just hey everybody.
I remember a giraffe got struck by lightning, like during one of the storms.
Yes, I remember.
It was when they had the TVs in the queue, so it was like cutting around and showing different things. And from what I heard, like I was working Animal Kingdom that day, and from what I heard, like the camera had cut to the giraffe, and then it got hit, and then the feed went out, and people were like, "What just happened?" And I was like, "I feel like, that giraffe did not make it.
The electricity had to exit somewhere. That's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a one time at Magic Kingdom, we had I was with Snow White, and I think we had one of the dwarfs with us. I think it might have been Dopey. And it was where the old Skyway was, the old gondolas over by Small World. So it's like very Swiss looking. It looks like it's something right out of a German folk tale, like a storybook. So, anyways, it has these it had a waterfall and had like a water thing that went down into a pool, and then every spring there would be these ducks, like families of ducks would come have their babies in this place, and then they'd raise them up, and so you saw the progression every year. Well, one year there was this duck had like all these. There's 8 little ducklings, and all of them were the same color, like that pretty. It's like the yellow and black mix, like you see on like a was it like Dove or not Dove, but Dawn dish soap,
Yeah.
They just got the oil off of them.
Oil,
yeah. They're like, there you go, and look, he's all fluffy. It makes him fluffy. But there were 7 of those, and then the 8th one was an oddball. He was just completely yellow. There was no black on him at all. So this little kid's like, I'm like, yeah, you like our ducks down there? Like, he's like, yeah. What are their names? I'm like, really, kid? What are their names? And so I'm like, well, you got the 7 dwarfs, and I named off those, and I said, and Chuck. And he goes, the kid's like, Chuck? And I'm like, yeah, the yellow one. I said, because when he was born, we didn't know if he was a chicken or a duck. So we named him Chuck. And the kid goes, good to know. Like that
makes sense.
He just needed confirmation, like that's good. But same, I don't think it was the same group, but same around the same time. There's a bunch of ducklings in the bottom of the pool, and they're doing that dive thing where they're kicking their feet, trying to dig for stuff. And I'm leaning over and I'm telling one of the ducks, no, that's not how you swim. You got to learn how to kick. 1, 2, 3, just making stupid stuff. And this lady comes over and goes, excuse me, sir. But that duck over there has been underwater for about 10 minutes. And I go, oh. So I had to hop down near the water. I think I scooped him up with the park map because I didn't have anything else. And little guy just he wasn't a swimmer.
Yeah.
So I had to call animal control, and animal control comes out there, and they're like, and we kind of like hit him because we didn't want anybody else to see it. So the lady's like, oh, he's not dead. We're like, oh, and she goes, nah, he's dead. And I'm like, and it was like, oh, like poor thing, like come on. But you saw that kind of stuff all the time. Hawks, alligators would eat them. I'm like, they're all. I mean, it's like Wild Kingdom in the middle of Magic Kingdom. It was National Geographic in the middle of the theme park right there. It was like Jurassic Park, but not really.
There used to be a backstage at Animal Kingdom where you would go to get your like costumes and stuff. You'd be able to get like bikes to ride around because there was
the bikes.
Around.
Bikes.
I also, little secret, I did not know how to ride a bike.
Oh, really?
At that point, but I couldn't tell anybody. So I would always just I'd get a bike
Yeah.
And then they'd all be like, all right, we're going to go. And I was like, oh, okay. I got to go over here because
I'll meet you guys there.
Yeah. I was like, there's this turtle. Like, I don't know what kind of turtle it was. It had like a nose that kind of went up like this.
Yeah.
Like spouted. And it was just there because there was like a bridge and like a little pond. And the turtle was in that pond. And it would always like come up every day. Like it would just pop up and I'd see it. And I'd be like, I'm just going to go hang out with this turtle for a minute. And then I would walk my bike the entirety of the way.
Yeah.
People would be like, aren't you gonna like hop on? And I was like, actually, nah, I need to like work out my legs. Like you don't do that when you're on a
leg
bike.
day.
Yeah, I was like, sorry, I'm just carrying I was like, I can't ride a bike. I was like, let alone ride a bike while carrying that like giant Christmas sack.
Yeah. Why did Hollywood Studios, Animal Kingdom, I can see, but Hollywood Studios, why do they have bikes over Epcot?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of Epcot was like backstage Epcot, like Test Track was right backstage. When people came out, they could see backstage. I remember like there was a lot more interaction backstage, I feel like there.
But even like just the distance wise, like one day I was like, you know what? I'm gonna walk from like UK. It's like 8 miles backstage.
Yeah.
You got to go underwater. You got to go under the water that the boat that goes to the boardwalk. They're like, just take the bus next time. I'm like, good Lord, it was not a hop, skip, and a jump per se. It was awful. It looked like you're like in a desert.
Yeah, because it's Florida.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I don't miss is the.
And that was January. It was a dry winter. We had a dry winter. So, your stand up. You're back doing stand up. Are you doing local clubs? Are you doing any traveling?
Hitting up some open mics. I'm actually doing one coming up later today.
Okay.
In about like 30 minutes.
Okay.
Well, I gotta go to sign up in like 30 minutes. But I started doing I did improv for like 9 years. I joined a group. I was like one of the founders of an improv group that toured around Annapolis and Virginia up here. And then I went and I studied in New York with the Upright Citizens Brigade, which was founded by Amy Poehler, and a bunch of other people. So
never heard of her.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
She's very polarizing.
Yeah, polarizing.
So I did it up there. We got to perform one time. Like Alec Baldwin was in the audience.
Oh yeah.
He didn't shoot anybody, thankfully. But
I love that guy.
Yeah.
So he does the greatest Tony Bennett impression.
Oh yeah.
So great.
But I got to do that, and then I was like doing some stand up like on the side, but like improv was so much easier because you've got like a group. If you're not feeling it or if you drop the ball, someone is there to pick it up for you.
True.
With stand-up, if I got up there, my big worry was like, I'm going to say something that I think is funny, that I think is like a normal thing people do, and then it's going to turn out that I'm just insane.
Yeah.
I was always like, you know how like if you're microwaving something, you always want to make sure you make it right, you make it back before it counts all the way down, like it's a bomb and you have to diffuse it. And I did that, and people are like, no, we don't know what you mean. And I was like, is that just me?
Yeah.
And the only one that sees this is like a bomb squad thing.
Yeah, like you see on every television show.
Yeah. And so I stopped doing it for a while. The whole time I was doing improv, I kind of stopped doing stand-up. I did it like here and there. I did a fundraiser for the mayor of Annapolis, which was nice because it was a paid gig, which is rare.
Which is great.
Yeah. But I started doing open mics again. Like I went through a breakup back in November, right around Thanksgiving. And I was like, I need to do something new to like mix up the routine. And so I was like, I'm just going to do stand up. There's a brewery not far from my house. That's where I'm going today. And I was like, I'm just going to go there and try out some material. And so I went and I was like, well, I haven't done this in almost 10 years. And I was like, well, here's an idea. Like, I'll do a set where my jokes are 10 years old. And so I just went and I looked up like 2013, 2014, like big news topics. And then I was like, I just started writing jokes off of them. And I was like, okay, like, and then my plan is I get up there, I start telling these jokes, and I know that they do not work. They do not work anymore because they are 10 years old, but I'm still trying to salvage them.
Yeah.
So now, like, I don't have to go up there with any like sense of like false confidence. I go up there as like inconfident as possible.
Yeah.
I'm stumbling over what I'm doing. And now the audience is like on my side because they're like, oh, this poor guy.
Yeah.
Like I think I started out and I was like, all right, so I've got these jokes. I'll give you a couple if you want to hear it.
That's fine.
So I'm like, yeah, these jokes are from like 10 years ago. So I just want to see if they still work or if they're, topical, whatever. So all right. So did you guys hear that Paul Walker died not that recently? He died in a car accident, which was very, very sad, but also like a little ironic given his name. Would be kind of like Minnie Driver dying in a walking accident. I'd be like, okay, so that one doesn't really work anymore. I'm like, James Gandolfini also died 10 years ago. I heard he has unfinished business though, so he roams the earth now as a gabagool.
Oh,
and like, yeah, really, really bad jokes. And then like I did like Lance Armstrong. I was like, Lance Armstrong, he was the center of controversy a while back for doping. He finally admitted to it. So say what you will about the man, but it takes real ball to admit that. And then my closer was always that Subway guy, Jared Fogle. And I'm like, he seems like a good guy. Nope, sorry, this is an old joke. And I'm like, he's always holding up his like old fat pants next to his new skinny body, and he keeps shrinking in sizes. It's like, slow down there, Jared. You're gonna end up in little kids' pants. Nope, that one doesn't work. That one doesn't work anymore.
Hey.
Yeah, and then they'd just be like, and then I'd go into like my normal material. So,
well, you have to come. There's a couple open mic places down here in Florida. You have to come down and try. There's one down in this place called Wesley Chapel down just past where I live, and they have a theater. It's a movie theater, but one of the theaters is a comedy club. So when
that's awesome.
It's pretty cool. Like when I've only been one time, but we went as a group outing, and you wouldn't think that you're like, but it's like you're sitting in a movie theater and you got a guy. They made like a stage. And there's somebody that comes up there and they have like a lineup, but I mean it's not like the Mothership or the Comedy Store or whatever. But people are trying. I mean, they're trying to test it out, and then that's the only way you're going to find out is if you do it. I mean, you can't just say what if and never do it. But I don't know. It's awesome. One of those things where there's nothing worse than when you say, I've got this great idea or joke or whatever great story, and then you say it and nobody gets it.
Yep.
Spent all that time, you're like, just like that.
I remember a guy telling me when I first started doing stand-up, I saw him do it and he it didn't go over well and I was nervous. And he was just like, I was like, so how did that feel? Like the first time you bombed? And I was like, I'm worried that's going to happen to me. And he goes, look, I'll be honest with you. It's like standing naked in front of your entire 8th grade class and having them point out the things that are wrong with you.
Yeah.
He was like, I would rather have that happen to me than bomb on stage. And so I'm like, great.
Yeah, right. But see, success, people fail, and people think failure is a bad thing. And I think failure is a good thing because you never get better if you never fail. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
you're not learning.
To learn how to fail. We always say in sports, we were talking about in my earlier podcast. I said you have to fail to win. I mean, literally, you learn how to win by failing. Yeah. So it's no different from working on material. And there's a bunch of people like I watched a special, Dave Chappelle's old special from last year. And he's like, all right, guys, I'm going to try something. That means it's something he doesn't know. He doesn't know how it's going to go. This is Dave Chappelle. He's trying new material. And I mean, it wasn't as great. Chris Rock he told a joke his last special, and he was like, I messed the joke up. I mean, it happens. You're human. But I think people just put so much emphasis on, like, I'm not successful because everything I do is wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, they can't distinguish the work. You're learning. It's a learning process.
Yeah.
And I think it's such a great thing for people.
CY Western Company is located in Bushnell, Florida. It's a great place for boots, clothing, gifts, and accessories for the whole family. They are a family-owned and operated business that opened in 2008. They offer free gift bagging and layaway services, and also a 10% discount for 4-H and FFA members with proof of membership. Be sure to like them on Facebook, where customers can stay updated on sales and giveaways. You can find them next to Lowry's True Value Hardware in Bushnell, open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6, and Saturdays, 9 to 5. Be sure to check out CY Western Company.
I just got a friend of mine who had come to a bunch of my recent stand-up shows. Like, I tend to do 1 or 2 a week.
Yeah.
And he came and he was like, I really want to try this out. And I was like, yeah, man, let's do it. Like, write material. I'll look at it. Like, not that I'm like an expert or anything, but like, I'll help you punch up stuff in any way that I can. Like, and I got your back. And I was like, the best part about this is you're going to an open mic. No one here has paid to see you. You're not letting anyone down.
Yep.
Like, you get out there, but I was like, I know the fear, like every show that I do, up until it's my turn, like, I'm just like shaking my knee underneath the table. Like, I'm waiting. I'm like, all right, as soon as I get up there on stage, like, a lot of whatever fear I had is gone. It's the anticipation that like gives you these butterflies. It makes you like nervous and sick. And then as soon as like I'm able to get something out, and I'm done, as soon as I get off stage, it's like a weight's been lifted, and like I can breathe, and like
absolutely
I'm enjoying the rest of the comedians.
And
I told my friend that, and he went up and he did it 2 weeks ago. He did his first set, and it went well. It didn't go like fantastic, but it went well. And I was like, look, no one booed you. No one told you to get off stage. Like, very rarely do you see that happen in like real life.
Yeah.
I was like, so I think you did good. He's still terrified to do more, but
have you ever taped yourself like doing a performance like that, like, and you just watch it and like learn from it, like what not to do, like what I need to work on this.
Yeah, a lot of I'll tape it, and a lot of what I'll do is I'll see my my body, like my mannerisms. Like, I don't realize I'm doing it, but like a lot of times I'll have my hands like deep in my pockets, and I'll look like stiff, or I'll hold the microphone too close, and like I can hear myself. Like, when I'm on stage, I don't hear it, but then when I'm like listening to it, I'm like, okay, I must have had a runny nose because I am just sniffling through this entire set. Like, I try to pick up and learn where I can. I also have this. I hate seeing myself on film or hearing myself.
I hate hearing. Everybody does that. Everybody.
That's what I look and sound like. How does anyone want to be around me?
Yep. Same thing.
Like I am a goblin. This isn't good. So,
it's funny you say that, because like I can look at my very first podcast, which is coming up. It'll be a year in March.
Nice.
And so by the time this airs, it'll be March. So yes, it's been a year. But I go back to my first podcast I did. I was extremely nervous. And I look at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, the things that I did. And you could tell I knew I was nervous. And you can definitely go back and watch and see how nervous I was. But you just got to keep doing it. And I watched this video the other day where the guy said, people put out content, probably like 20, they'll do like 20 shows. And then they're like, man, I'm done. Like, that's all they can do. That's all they want to do. They've done it. And they say, well, that's all I'm going to do. And I'm like, well, this is, this This will be yours. Will be episode. You'll be my 50th episode actually.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've got 50 episodes out.
I get to be an important.
Congratulations on being number 50.
Where's the ticker tape parade?
Well, actually, you know what? By time I cut this one up, it'll be the 51st. But you were still my 50th show. I just won't
put me ahead of whoever that is.
You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say at the beginning, hey, oh no, I can't go back. But anyways, but hey, man, I appreciate your time. I miss hanging out with you. You're really, really. You've always been a great friend of me, of mine. Like I said, I consider you like a brother. I have a brother, but I consider you another brother. We always say a brother from another mother.
Yep.
And you got to come down to, I miss going to the airport trips, listening to, some Dimitri Martin. Good times, man. Just like it was I tell people all the time, it was a different time in my life. It was just like, that was a part of my life that, like over half my life spent at Disney. So it's like these people that I met, they are just like I said earlier, they're just like family. Yeah. So like I said, you're my brother, man.
I still can't believe you got engaged without asking my permission.
I didn't
getting my approval. That's crazy.
I didn't even ask her mom or dad.
Yeah, I remember you telling me.
I just did it, man. Because you know what? Hey,
rebel.
That's right. It's you only live once, man. YOLO. Hey, listen.
It's the most romantic thing I've heard.
I know, right? Hey, you talking about 10 years ago? You should have said YOLO. But thanks again for taking the time out today. Hopefully tonight, open mic goes well. And
thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Anytime you want to come on, just let me know. We're gonna set this up, and I wish you nothing but the best. And hopefully we'll get together and see, throw back some more stories, throw back a couple drinks, and go from there. But
anytime, brother.
Anytime. All right, bro. Well, you know what? I got the split screen on here. We're gonna sign off together. So welcome. Thanks for enjoying. Thanks for taking the time out for the Goblay show. This is my guest, Justin Puig. I say it right?
Puig. Yeah, you're
Puig. Yes.
Close enough.
Yes, Justin Puig. Guys, I've never called him by his last name before. But anyways, my buddy Justin, I appreciate him coming on. Guys, don't forget to go on YouTube and Spotify. You can follow on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube, and just look out for more content, okay? Until next time, we'll see you guys later.